For nearly 5,000 years, one name ruled the galaxy through fear: the Varkan Dominion. Its fleets darkened the skies of thousands of worlds. Entire civilizations surrendered the moment Dominion warships entered orbit. Those who resisted disappeared from history, leaving only silent ruins drifting through space. To the Galactic Council, the Dominion was untouchable. To the smaller empires, it was inevitable. And to humanity, it was simply another bully. Earth had only joined the Galactic Council 20 years earlier. Compared to the ancient civilizations, humans were newcomers. Their technology appeared average. Their fleet seemed surprisingly small. They rarely threatened anyone and preferred diplomacy over intimidation. The galaxy interpreted that as weakness. Only humanity knew the truth. Deep beneath Earth's oceans, inside hidden lunar shipyards, and beyond classified jump gates hidden inside dying star systems, an entirely different military was waiting. One built in complete secrecy. One designed for a single purpose: never fight unless absolutely necessary. But if war came, and it quickly, everything changed when the Dominion demanded control of the Orion Trade Corridor, a route protected by Earth under galactic law. The Dominion Emperor laughed during the council session. "Humans," he declared, "you have 1 hour to surrender your territory or prepare for extinction." The council chamber fell silent. Many delegates avoided looking at the human ambassador. Everyone expected fear. Instead, Ambassador Elena Carter calmly stood. She smiled. "If you choose war," she said quietly, "please understand one thing." The Emperor smirked. "You won't be fighting the humanity you think you know." The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, news channels exploded. Dominion declares war on Earth. Markets crashed. Trade routes closed. Millions expected another quick conquest. After all, no one had ever survived a Dominion invasion. Exactly 12 hours later, more than 40,000 Dominion warships emerged near the Orion Corridor. Their commanders expected frightened defenders. Instead, the sector was completely empty. No stations. No defense platforms. No human fleet. Only silence. The Dominion admirals laughed. Cowards. They advanced deeper into human territory without resistance. Planet after planet appeared abandoned. Mining colonies. Listening stations. Supply depots. Everything had been evacuated. The Dominion believed humanity was running. They celebrated too early. Because every kilometer they traveled, they were entering a trap. Far away, inside an asteroid hidden beyond every known navigation chart, a massive holographic display illuminated the darkness. Hundreds of human admirals watched quietly. General Marcus Hale stood before the table. He observed the Dominion fleet entering exactly where human intelligence predicted. No excitement. No panic. Only patience. An officer looked up. "They've crossed the final marker, sir." General Hale nodded once. "Excellent." Another officer asked carefully, "Permission to activate Phase 1? The room became silent. Hale looked at the enormous red icon representing the Dominion Armada. Then he spoke the words every officer had waited years to hear. "They declared this war." He pressed a single command. "So we'll finish it." Across thousands of hidden locations, massive doors began opening. Artificial moons split apart. Asteroids unfolded into shipyards. Entire planets revealed underground launch systems. For the first time in galactic history, humanity stopped hiding. And what emerged from the darkness would soon make every empire question everything they believed about Earth. Across the galaxy, thousands of long-range sensors suddenly lit up with impossible readings. At first, analysts believed their equipment had malfunctioned. Then the numbers kept climbing. 1,000, 5,000, 10,000. Finally, the count froze. Over 60,000 human warships had appeared simultaneously. Inside the Galactic Council, panic erupted. "That's impossible." The humans only reported 800 frontline vessels. "They've hidden an entire military." Council members stared at the holographic map in disbelief as dozens of secret shipyards appeared across human-controlled space. Massive carriers emerged from inside hollow moons. Planetary defense rings unfolded like giant mechanical flowers, revealing rail cannons larger than most starships. Humanity had not spent 20 years preparing for peace. It had spent 20 years preparing to survive. Meanwhile, the Varkan Dominion fleet pushed deeper into what they believed was undefended territory. Grand Admiral Korvek stood confidently on the bridge of the flagship Imperator's Wrath. Our scouts still report no resistance. The officers laughed. Humans have abandoned their colonies. They're running. Korvek smiled. Then we'll reach Earth within 30 hours. Before anyone could celebrate further, alarms suddenly screamed. A sensor officer looked up, his face pale. Sir, hundreds of hyperspace signatures detected. Korvek frowned. How many? The officer swallowed hard. They're everywhere. Space itself began to ripple. One after another, enormous human battleships emerged from hyperspace, not in front of the Dominion fleet, but all around it. Within seconds, the Dominion armada found itself completely surrounded. Every escape route vanished. Silence filled the bridge. Then the main screen activated. General Marcus Hale appeared. Unshaken. His uniform carried no medals of arrogance, only the insignia of Earth's Defense Command. Korvek laughed loudly. So the humans finally found their courage. Hale's expression never changed. No. We simply decided you had crossed the line. Korvek leaned forward. You still cannot defeat the Dominion. General Hale replied with a single sentence. We're not here to defeat you. A brief pause. We're here to erase your ability to wage war. Before Korvek could answer, the transmission ended. Across the battlefield, thousands of human ships shifted formation with perfect synchronization. No shouting. No confusion. Every vessel moved like part of a single living organism. Then came the first attack. Not missiles. Not lasers. Electronic warfare. Within seconds, Dominion communications collapsed. Navigation systems failed. Targeting computers displayed false coordinates. Entire squadrons could no longer identify friend from foe. Korvek slammed his fist onto the command console. Restore our systems. Technicians worked desperately. Nothing responded. The human cyber assault had infiltrated every military network simultaneously. For the first time in 5,000 years, the Dominion fleet was blind. Then the human fleet opened fire. Blue-white railgun rounds crossed millions of kilometers in moments, striking Dominion destroyers with devastating precision. Explosions lit up the darkness. One battleship after another disappeared. Not because humans fired more weapons, but because every shot hit exactly where it needed to. Within the first 10 minutes, nearly 300 Dominion warships had been destroyed. Human losses? 0. General Hale watched silently from the command ship HMS Resolute. An officer approached. Sir, Phase 1 is complete. Hale nodded. Good. What about Phase 2? He looked toward the holographic image of the Dominion Empire stretching across the galaxy. His voice remained calm. The fleet was never the real target. A stunned silence filled the bridge, because every officer now understood the true objective. Humanity wasn't fighting to win one battle. It was about to destroy the Dominion's entire war machine. The first battle had lasted less than an hour. Across the stars, the wreckage of hundreds of Dominion warships drifted silently through space. Escape pods floated among burning debris, broadcasting desperate distress signals that no one answered. For the first time in 5,000 years, the mighty Varkan Dominion had suffered a crushing defeat. But General Marcus Hale wasn't celebrating. He knew the battle in the Orion Corridor was only the opening move. The enemy still has thousands of shipyards, Hale said, studying the tactical display. If they can rebuild, this war starts all over again. The officers around him nodded. Humanity had no intention of fighting a long war. They intended to end it before the Dominion could recover. Begin Phase 2, Hale ordered. Within seconds, encrypted commands raced through humanity's hidden communication network. Hundreds of stealth task forces jumped into hyperspace. Each had a single objective: Destroy the Dominion's ability to make war. Deep inside Dominion territory, workers in the massive Charon Prime orbital shipyard continued assembling new dreadnoughts. The factory stretched for hundreds of kilometers around the planet, producing warships day and night. Its commanders believed they were completely safe. After all, no enemy fleet had ever penetrated so deeply into Dominion space. Then the lights flickered. A security officer frowned. What was that? Before anyone could answer, space behind the station shimmered. Then 50 sleek human stealth cruisers emerged from cloaked jump points. The alarm screamed. Enemy ships inside the defense perimeter. The station's cannons turned toward the newcomers. But they were too late. Human precision missiles struck power relays, shield generators, and reactor control hubs with surgical accuracy. Not a single civilian habitat was targeted. Only military infrastructure. Within 3 minutes, the largest shipyard in the Dominion had gone dark. Construction lines stopped. Half-built battleships floated helplessly in orbit. The heart of the Dominion's fleet production had been silenced. The attacks spread like wildfire. Another hidden human task force destroyed a weapons depot near the Crimson Star of Velka. Elsewhere, command bunkers lost power after orbital communication arrays were disabled. Fuel refineries erupted into towering fireballs. Military logistics collapsed. Every strike followed the same pattern. Precise. Relentless. Human commanders ignored civilian cities, hospitals, and trade stations. Their targets were always military. Watching from neutral worlds, many Galactic Council members were stunned. They could destroy entire planets, one ambassador whispered. But they choose not to. Another quietly replied, they aren't fighting for revenge. They're fighting to end the war. Inside the Dominion capital, chaos replaced confidence. Emperor Xerxes stormed into the Imperial War Chamber. Explain this. Around him, frightened officers stared at flickering tactical maps. Red warning symbols covered nearly every sector. Your Majesty, one admiral said nervously, we've lost contact with 23 shipyards. Another added, our supply network has collapsed. A third officer spoke with visible fear. 3 reserve fleets have no fuel. The Emperor slammed both fists onto the command table. This is impossible. An elderly strategist finally broke the silence. No, Your Majesty. We misunderstood humanity. Everyone turned toward him. For centuries, we believed strength meant having the largest fleet. He looked at the burning sectors across the hologram. The humans never tried to match our numbers. They studied how our empire worked. And now they're removing every piece that keeps it alive. The room fell silent. For the first time, the Emperor realized this wasn't an invasion. It was a systematic dismantling of everything the Dominion depended on. Back aboard the HNS Resolute, another report arrived. General Hale, Phase 2 objectives are 78% complete. Hale looked at the countdown displayed above the galaxy map. 18 hours since the war began. The Dominion had expected to conquer Earth in 2 days. Instead, in less than 1 day, its military machine was falling apart. An officer asked quietly, Sir, what happens when we reach Phase 3? Hale's eyes remained fixed on the glowing symbol marking the Dominion capital. He answered with absolute certainty. We end the Empire. 24 hours since the war began. The galaxy had never witnessed anything like it. Every hour, another Dominion military sector went dark. Entire battle fleets sat stranded without fuel. Defense satellites drifted powerless through orbit. Hyperlane relays that had connected the Empire for centuries suddenly fell silent. The once invincible Varkan Dominion wasn't being destroyed by overwhelming firepower. It was being suffocated. On worlds that had lived under Dominion occupation for generations, people looked to the skies in disbelief. The warships that had terrorized them for centuries were retreating, or simply abandoning their posts after losing contact with Imperial command. Across dozens of systems, something unexpected happened. Rebellions began. Colonies that had been forced to serve the Dominion seized the opportunity. Local resistance groups stormed military depots, freed political prisoners, and raised their own planetary flags for the first time in decades. The Empire wasn't just losing a war. It was losing control. Inside the Imperial Palace on Varkan Prime, Emperor Xerxes stood before the enormous tactical display. Only a day earlier, nearly every star on the map had glowed imperial red. Now, red lights vanished one after another. An exhausted communications officer rushed into the chamber. "Your Majesty!" Xerxes turned sharply. "What now?" "The third battle fleet has surrendered." Another officer followed close behind. "The ninth fleet has mutinied. Their commander refuses to continue fighting." Before anyone could respond, a third officer entered. "The outer defense ring has fallen." Silence filled the chamber. The emperor slowly looked around at his generals. For the first time in centuries, no one had a plan. Meanwhile, aboard the HNS Resolute, General Marcus Hale studied the latest reports. "Phase 3 is complete," an intelligence officer announced. "Enemy logistics? Collapsed. Fleet coordination? Offline. Planetary defenses? Less than 15% remain operational." Hale nodded. The trap had worked perfectly. For 20 years, humanity had quietly studied every weakness in the Dominion's military doctrine. Every supply route, every communications relay, every shipyard, every command center. The Dominion believed wars were won by building larger fleets. Humans believed wars were won by making those fleets impossible to use. That difference had decided the fate of an empire. Suddenly, a secure transmission appeared on Hale's command screen. It was Emperor Xerxes. Gone was the arrogance that had filled the council chamber only a day before. His face looked older, defeated. "You've proven your strength, human." Hale remained silent. The emperor continued. "I offer a ceasefire." Several officers on the bridge exchanged glances. This was the ruler who had demanded Earth's surrender only 24 hours earlier. Now he was asking for peace. General Hale finally spoke. "When you declared war, how many worlds did you intend to burn?" Xerxes lowered his eyes. No answer came. "You believed fear made you untouchable," Hale continued. "You never imagined someone would stand against you." The emperor looked back at the screen. "What do you want?" Hale answered without hesitation. "Unconditional surrender. Disband every military fleet. Release every occupied world. And never threaten another civilization again." The emperor clenched his fists. "If I refuse?" Hale's expression never changed. "The countdown reaches 48 hours. And there will be no Dominion left to rule." The transmission ended. Hours passed. Across the galaxy, billions watched the countdown. 36 hours. 40 hours. 44 hours. Finally, with only 3 hours remaining, every communication network carried the same emergency broadcast. Emperor Xerxes stood before the galaxy. His voice was heavy with defeat. "The Varkan Dominion surrenders." Celebrations erupted across liberated worlds. The greatest empire in galactic history had fallen. Not after centuries of war. Not after endless battles. But in less than 48 hours. Yet General Hale knew one final chapter remained. Because the galaxy still had one question. Who were the humans, really? 48 hours since the war began. Not a single shot had been fired in the last 3 hours. Across the galaxy, silence replaced the thunder of war. The once mighty Varkan Dominion had officially surrendered. Its warships powered down their weapons, imperial banners were lowered from occupied worlds, and billions of beings watched history unfold through live transmissions. For the first time in 5,000 years, the galaxy was free from the empire everyone believed could never fall. Inside the Grand Hall of the Galactic Council, representatives from more than 300 civilizations gathered in stunned silence. Only 2 days earlier, they had expected humanity to disappear. Instead, humanity had arrived, not as conquerors, but as the architects of the greatest military victory in galactic history. As General Marcus Hale entered the chamber, every delegate stood. Not because protocol demanded it, because respect did. The council speaker broke the silence. "General Hale, There is one question every civilization wishes to ask. Hale nodded. Ask. The speaker took a deep breath. If humanity possessed this power all along, why did you hide it? The chamber fell completely silent. Hale looked around at the countless faces before answering. Because history taught us a painful lesson. He paused. The strongest weapon in the universe is not the one you fire. It's the one no one knows you possess. The delegates exchanged uneasy glances. Hale continued. On Earth, we learned that power without restraint becomes tyranny. So while others competed to build larger fleets, we invested in discipline, preparation, and responsibility. We never wanted an empire. We wanted a future where no empire could threaten anyone again. At that moment, Emperor Xerex, now a prisoner under council supervision, requested permission to speak. The chamber reluctantly agreed. The former ruler stepped forward, no longer wearing his jeweled imperial armor. He looked like an old man carrying the weight of countless mistakes. I believed fear created peace, he admitted. I thought overwhelming strength guaranteed eternal rule. He turned toward Hale. I was wrong. The general gave a slight nod. Fear creates obedience. Respect creates peace. Those words echoed throughout the chamber. Over the following months, the galaxy changed forever. The Varkan Dominion was peacefully dissolved under council oversight. Occupied civilizations regained their independence. Former Dominion shipyards were converted into trade ports, research stations, and humanitarian centers. Human engineers helped rebuild worlds that had been scarred by centuries of conquest. Not because they had to, because they chose to. Many civilizations expected humanity to claim the Dominion's territory and become the next galactic superpower. Earth refused. Humanity returned every liberated world to its people and withdrew most of its fleets back into deep space. Once again, the hidden armadas vanished. Not out of fear, but because their purpose had been fulfilled. Months later, a young cadet asked General Hale a question during a graduation ceremony. Sir, if another empire rises someday, will humanity go to war again? Hale looked toward the stars before answering. I hope not. The cadet frowned. But if they do? A faint smile crossed Hale's face. Then they'll make the same mistake. They'll believe humanity wants war. He looked at the silent night sky. When all we've ever wanted is for everyone else to stop starting one. The audience erupted into applause. Far beyond Earth's atmosphere, thousands of hidden human warships remained on silent watch, not as symbols of conquest, but as guardians of peace. And throughout the galaxy, one lesson would be remembered for generations. Never mistake humanity's kindness for weakness. Because when humanity is forced to fight, the war is already over.